Did you know that not finding your purpose can impact every aspect of your life? And I'm not talking about in a good way. Hello everybody. Welcome back to the Kiaundra Jackson Show. I am your host, and today we are talking about what finding your purpose means. Why your blueprint on earth really should have an amazing impact on how we navigate our own world. Also, why operating in your lane is a game changer. And not only are we gonna get into some juiciness today, but we also have an amazing special guest, Dr. Brian J. Olds, I have to put some respect on his name, is going to give us his input and also snatch our edges all the way off and provide us with 3 amazing steps that can help anybody find, navigate, and operate in their full purpose. One of the things that I have learned, especially working with so many individual people, is that there's so many people on the face of this planet who do not know what their purpose is. I mean, literally, I'm talking about people who are 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old who feel like they don't even know why they were put on this earth. And it really kind of blows my mind, to be honest with you, to think that somebody would have all of this lived experience, be on earth for 30, 40 plus years, and just kind of be going through life haphazardly, kind of just doing whatever they want to do, and kind of not even knowing the true reason of why they're here. And I'm wondering, if you don't know your purpose and you're not operating in your purpose, I'm wondering how and what will your legacy be? I'm wondering, what about the people that you were meant to help and impact that you never did? I'm wondering what's going to happen for all of those people who didn't get a chance to experience you the way that they were supposed to experience you. I'm wondering what that does to your own individual self and psyche to know that you spent all of these years on earth and didn't do what you were supposed to do. Things that make you go, I want you to know that everybody has a purpose. I do not subscribe to the philosophy that, some people don't have a purpose. No. Every single person on the face of this planet has a purpose. Now, I think our role and our journey in all of this is to find out what that purpose is. Sometimes it takes us very quickly to find our purpose, and some people just know what they were supposed to do, why they were meant to be here, how they were supposed to impact people, and then there's other people who take a bit longer to get to that goal. And I'm not here to judge whether you know it quickly or it takes you some time. I just want you to get there. The main thing that I have seen people do is to think that purpose is actually in a job. That's a lie. Your purpose and your job are not the same thing. I have seen people work jobs for 20, 30, 40 plus years that ain't got nothing to do with the thing that God put on the inside of them. When you realize that, the game completely changes. So once you figure out what your purpose is, that can shift and change and look very different for different jobs, for different career choices, and different professions. Say, for example, that I was supposed to be a teacher. Teaching is my life's purpose. I might be a teacher. I might be a trainer at a Fortune 500 company. I might talk to and train doctors. I might teach at a university level. I might do so many different things. Do you guys see what I'm saying? But the underlying current is that I was meant to teach. My purpose is to teach. No matter what role that is, no matter what job I have, I'm still doing my purpose. And so once you find that underlying thing and don't get so caught up on the job part, this is when the game completely changes. Because once you figure that out, you can operate in that fully. I know some people who will teach at a Fortune 500 company, who will teach at a university level and train doctors, right? Like, they do it all because they understand that teaching is the gift. And not only is teaching is the gift, but it comes to them naturally, that it's a part of their purpose, which means they are impacting and helping people, and it fills their cup because they're able to do what they were meant to do. That's going to change and shift and help other people go to their own next level. It's like your cup being so full that you have the overflow to give to other people. And it blesses them to allow them to have their cup full so they can give to other people. And that trickles on and just keeps going on and flowing over and over and over and over again. And this is how you see people have a massive impact when they only started with one or two or a small group of people. Operating and doing your thing in its full capacity is what the goal is. Now, I'm not saying you got to be like me and be on TV and write books and, speak on large stages and do all of those things. It does not look like that, but sometimes it can be a very small community-based level. It can be you impacting and shifting a group of 5 people, a group of 10 people, whatever that looks like for you. But I just want you to die empty. When you get to the end of your life, I want you to say, okay, I fully operated in my purpose. I was able to do everything that God put me on this earth to do, and I left my blueprint. I left my thumbprint. I left my footprint on this earth, because we all know that thumbprints are very unique, right? Like, my thumbprint is nothing like anybody else's on the face of this planet. No two people have the same exact thumbprint. And so when you leave your stamp and your thumbprint on the world, that means nobody could ever do it like you, boo, and nobody ever will. And this is how we see previous people from generations who were game changers, who were generational shifters, who impacted culture. This is how we're still talking about them today, because they knew their purpose and they left their blueprint on the earth. So without further delay, I want to introduce our guest for today, Dr. Brian J. Olds. Listen, y'all know I don't like reading people's bios and I love speaking from the heart, but Brian is actually one of my good friends. Like, we do life together in real life. He is actually one of the most emotionally available men that I have ever met in my whole entire life. Now, I know y'all probably think that emotional availability, we talk about that a lot with relationships, but can you imagine having a really good friend who's also emotionally available? It's a game changer. I have had many days and nights where I have called Brian like, Brian, my life is falling apart, help me. And he always gives sound advice. He's always there. He knows how to listen and pour back into you. And this is why when I was featured in Inc. magazine and I wrote an article about imposter syndrome, I had to share a piece of our story about something that happened to me one time when I was going on a television show and imposter syndrome, and I was scared and I called Brian, okay? So I wrote a whole article about that in Inc. magazine, and Brian was included in that. But I want to let you guys know that he's not just my friend, but he's also featured in Inc. magazine. He is also the founder of Black Speakers Network, which is an amazing platform for new and emerging speakers. I believe that there is over 15,000 people a part of this network. So if you're interested in being a public speaker, this is the plug. Also known as the curator of collaborations. Okay, Brian knows everybody. And if he don't know the person, he gonna figure it out and try to connect you with the person, okay? And so Brian is a person that wears many hats. He's passionate about so many different things. But I am just excited to have him on our show today to talk to us a little bit more about purpose, about him finding his purpose, and then he's gonna drop 3 gems on us that is going to change the game. Brian, welcome to the Kiaundra Jackson Show. Brian, welcome to the Kiaundra Jackson Show. I am so excited to have you here today. Listen, I already told all the people how we get down. We go way back like car seats, like you normally say. And I know that you're going to give so much value and insight to my audience. But before we get into the topic that we're going to talk about today, we've been talking about on this whole entire episode just about purpose, just about finding your blueprint on this earth, figuring out why you were meant to be here, and then just really operating in that lane of influence instead of trying to be like everybody else. So I need for you to kind of just give us a little taste of what purpose means to you and how you were able to find your purpose in this world, and if that tends to shift and change depending on the season that you're currently in.
Yeah, absolutely. What's going on, Kiaundra? What's going on to all the Kiaundra Jackson followers and friends? Listen, I'm super excited about this topic. I think that and you know, regardless of when you're listening to this, we're in a new year, so I'm not going to date which year, but we're in a new year, and I think there's always time for reflection when you're getting into those periods. So I'm gonna go backwards in your question. I think this journey of really learning who you are sits at the center of humanity, this human experience that we're going on. And so it's the chase for purpose. I think it is that. I think it's a journey. It's not a destination. It's something that we're constantly shooting for, and we're going to change. Like I listen to all your videos, Kiaundra. As you know, you talk about relationships. You talk about you bring up some really you challenge people to think differently about the standards that we hold ourselves to. And one of the things that you pointed out is that, you know, even when we're as individuals, when we get into relationships, like let's say, you know, you get married at 22, the person you are at 22 is not the same person you are at 32, 42, or at least it shouldn't be, you know, 52. And so as we're growing, as we're aging, we are picking up lessons along the way and applying them to our life that's going to kind of modify that purpose. I remember when I was in college reading this book by Robert Schuller, and it was talking about like the peak to peak principle, Kiaundra. And so I know you're into hiking. I'm not into hiking, but like I'm into biking a little bit more. And it's kind of like, imagine hiking up a mountain, right? And you and out in the LA, y'all have those beautiful mountains, right? Where you could go up and just take a beautiful afternoon hike. Well, imagine if you had never climbed any of those mountains, and one day you get to, you know, about a quarter of the way up the mountain, and now you're looking around, you're like, oh, I didn't realize there was a Walgreens over there, and there's like a tree line over there. Now I can see the beach. So you have a different vantage point. But if you go higher up the mountain, now let's say you're like halfway up the mountain, not only are you seeing new things, but you're also seeing things that you would not have been able to see from the perspective you were before. And when you get to the top of the mountain, let's say you climbed all the way to the top, now you're above the clouds, you have a completely different perspective. Now you're certainly able to peer out probably miles and miles away. And again, this is something that you would not have been able to see at any of the previous levels. And so this peak to peak principle, I think, is something that we're constantly moving to or through in this concept of purpose. And I've seen it in my own life. I've seen what I thought was possible in my life, Brian Oles in high school versus Brian Oles in college, Brian Oles early career professional, to now Brian Oles entrepreneur, and the journey continues.
Wow. I told y'all Brian was gonna bring the gems, okay? Like when you were talking, it just reminded me of like vantage point, right? Like depending on where you are on your journey, you have a different perspective, you have different insight, you have different knowledge, you have a different way of viewing things. And hopefully as, you know, we're growing, evolving, and changing in society, in life in general, those things shift and change. And knowing that when you find your purpose, it could potentially shift and change depending on who you develop and who you evolve to be. And so wherever you are on that journey, it's okay. And just know that you don't have to be set in stone and you have to do all of the things by a certain age or be a certain way. Just know that your journey is your journey, and that's okay too.
And can I just give your audience, I'm sorry, can I just give your audience 3 things that I think are going to really impact what that experience might be?
Absolutely.
Because again, as I think about my life, here's some of those elements, and these are all variable, right? So the first one is environment. The environment that you find yourself in, the physical space, whether it's your house, your city, your community, the school that you go to, what do you physically wake up and consume? And so I think one of the fastest ways to kind of change your mindset, change your perspective, is to change your environment. That's the reason why travel is always listed as one of the most important things you could do in life. If you spent your entire life in Baltimore, Maryland, like this guy, you know, getting out to the rest of the world and seeing how business is done in another country, seeing how people live in the Caribbean, seeing how children go to school in different countries, it really broadens your experience. So environment is the first critical thing. I think the second thing, and this is in your wheelhouse, is relationships. And not just romantic relationships, but relationships in your life as you start to think about your life purpose and what it is that you're meant to do in this world. It's natural to do a quick scan and say, hey, who are the people in my life that mean the most to me, and how will my purpose actually support, or in some cases actually disrupt the comfort zones and the sensibilities of the folks around you. And so you have to start to do an inventory and ask yourself the question, are the people that are in your life still, and again, these could be relationships from decades and decades ago, are they still serving you in the way that it's in the fulfillment of that purpose, or are they causing a distraction? Or I think very rarely are people kind of neutral in your life. They're either kind of like helping or hurting, I think, in a lot of cases. But regardless, you know, doing a quick inventory of the people. So you got environment, you have people, and then you also have to look at your own inventory of skills. Like, what are you actually able to do now that perhaps you weren't able to do before? You know, some of us are great with technology. Some of us are great with relationships, people skills, the ability to take something out of our head and put it out into the world. And so I think keeping that in mind, doing an inventory of what you are actually capable of and what draws your eye, is going to give you a lot of insight into what your purpose actually is.
Wow. I mean, if y'all are not taking notes, you need to be. Okay, we talked about environment, we talked about people. What was the last one?
The skills. What
skills. Look, environment, people, and skills. Like that, we could just close the whole show right here, because that was everything that we needed. So, because this has been so good to me, and I don't want to leave us on a so serious, you know, buttoned up. No, we gotta have some fun. Are you down for some fun or not?
I'm ready. That's why I came. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong, like you said. So that's
wow, very true. Okay, so we are going to play a game of Would You Rather and Why. Right. So look, I am going to give you a series of 5 essentially questions, which literally have nothing to do with anything. But I'm interested to hear your perspective. So I need for you to tell me which of the things you would prefer, and give me a quick, Brian, a quick explanation of why you chose that in the first place. Are you ready?
I am.
Would you rather be forced to sing along or to dance to every single song you hear for the rest of your life?
Oh, absolutely sing along. Here's why. First of all, I already do that. I've memorized every commercial song from 1992 to like 1998. I'm mostly the guy singing along in the car. I sing in the shower. Dancing, I don't think anybody wants to see that. Plus, as I get older, my ability to do some of those moves will probably diminish, but my voice, as long as I got my voice, I can sing along. So sing along.
Got you. Next one, would you rather find true love today or win the lottery next year? You taking too long on this one. What
you didn't say
true love today or win the lottery next year, Brian?
I'm gonna pick true love, and here's why. I think that one, if you are rich, it gets harder to identify the people who actually do love you, and there's all this data on how fast lottery winners actually go broke. I think easy come, easy go when it comes to that. And if it actually is true love, since it's built into the definition, that's not going anywhere. So I would rather have the love over the money.
Okay, I'm here for that. The next one, would you rather lose your sight permanently or lose all of your memories permanently?
I would pick the sight, primarily because I actually have a genetic marker for people in my family. I think that they're already kind of looking at making sure my sight is good. But you know, Helen Keller said, what good is sight without any vision? And you can't have vision without the memory. So even if I'm left with the memories, I would rather have that than the ability to see future stuff. So yeah.
You better quote Helen Keller. Okay, you better quote. The next one, would you rather speak any language or be able to communicate with animals?
I would love to communicate with animals. I think there are already a lot of people on the planet who speak a lot of languages. Like Trevor Noah, I think, speaks like 6 or 7 languages.
I'm asking you. We don't care about Trevor Noah.
No, I'm just saying.
Would you rather speak to animals or speak any language?
I'm picking animals because it's a skill that nobody else on the planet has. And so if I'm the only person that can do that, I would instantly become one of the most like valuable people on the planet versus even people who are speaking other languages, people who have that skill. It's still something that we still know kind of what that person is saying, but nobody knows what animals are thinking about, like especially cats. You know, everybody thinks cats are trying to take over the world. So I would pick animals. Final answer.
Okay, you'll be the animal whisperer, okay?
Yeah,
there we go. And the last one, would you rather be an unknown superhero or an infamous villain?
Superhero. I mean, I would not publicly tell you I want to be a villain, even if but that sounds like something a villain would say. Like, so which is it? But yes, I would be an unknown superhero. And we all saw what happened when Iron Man revealed to the world that he is Iron Man. So I wouldn't want that type of press. Like if I'm gonna have superpowers, and Kiaundra, you and I have figured out the value of, you know, kind of keeping like everybody out your business for certain stuff. Like I think, you know, being known as a superhero is probably some negative consequences with that. So yes, I would be an unknown superhero, which is kind of what I want to do anyway. Like, you know, one day I think I'll be cutting checks to organizations, companies, and people, groups that I care about. Won't even tell them where it came from. We just be like, oh, you know, this school district needs air conditions. Here you go. Boom. And just keep it moving without any credit. So I like that type
Make
of
sure
stuff.
you send me one of them checks too, okay? Because I'm going to need something. Run me my coin. Thank you so much for having a little bit of fun with me, Brian. I am just so excited that you were able to be a part of the Kiaundra Jackson Show. And I'm sure there's going to be people who want to stay connected with you. So please tell everybody very briefly how they can stay connected with you and all of the amazing things that you will continue to do.
You can find me on whatever platform of your choice through that way. My preference is LinkedIn. So you can check me out on LinkedIn. Brian J. Olds, it's Olds like Oldsmobile. And yeah, I would love to stay connected to your audience. Kiaundra, obviously anybody's interested in speaking can go to blackspeakersnetwork.com as well. And I'm looking forward to staying in touch.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm sure you will not be a stranger to the Kiaundra Jackson Show. See you soon. Woo! Did not tell y'all that Brian is nothing to be played with. Brian is a problem. I knew that he was going to help take us to the next level in finding our purpose. And I'm glad that we had a chance to have a little bit of fun in the mix. I'm hopeful and I'm prayerful that something was spoken on today's episode that can help you transform your life. If you were somebody who did not know what your purpose was, I hope you are on the road to finding that now. If you are somebody who kind of knew where you were on the journey, I hope that you have more clarity. And if you are somebody who definitely knew where you were, I pray that you continue to go to the next level on the journey. So with that being said, thank you for taking the opportunity to watch another episode of the Kiaundra Jackson Show, and I will see you in the next episode.